Hello and welcome to the Jacob and Coffee Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about all things real estate over a great cup of coffee. I'm your host today, Jacob Schuler, and today I'm actually drinking iced coffee because it's stinking hot over here. I used to live in Arizona, and I remember it getting up into the 120s. In fact, I'm pretty sure the first week we moved there, it was 123 the day we decided to unload the truck. Terrible idea, by the way. Check your weather before you move. I mean, sometimes you're going to be stuck with the situation you're in. But it was hot. This is a different kind of heat in Jonesboro, Arkansas. It is muggy. It's wet heat. I feel like I need to grow gills right now. It's that kind of hot. But anyways, I've resorted to drinking iced coffee. The fan's on. We finally got the AC fixed in this place. I don't usually have it running while I'm recording the show because in this particular space, it's a little noisy. So I cool it off, try to keep a fan on, just so we can get this thing going. Hopefully I don't start sweating profusely, but we're going to try to get this thing done. But that's why I'm drinking iced coffee today. And some of you might be used to iced coffee in the form of, like frappes, or if you're a Starbucks lover, frappuccinos. That's their word. But there is something to be said for just black coffee over ice. Now you got to make it really strong because the ice will kind of dilute it down to the strength you're more used to. You kind of have to play with the ratios. But I make really, really strong. In fact, like a mocha pot, for instance, like what's back here. I'll make mocha pot espresso and pour that straight over ice. And then when it's cold, it's really the perfect strength for me. I really like it that way. It's not too overbearing. It doesn't get too weak. As long as I drink it before all the ice melts. When it gets it cold, then that's when I like to drink it. Anyways, a little tangent about iced coffee. It's good. It's actually feels refreshing. I would be dying in here if I was drinking hot coffee. Today, you may be wondering, what are we talking about today? Today we're going to be talking about commissions. Everybody loves money. No, you better not love money. The Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil. But we're going to talk a little bit about money because money makes the world go round right now. If you don't have money, you can't pay your bills. So in our field of work, if in selling real estate, we work off of commissions. Other professionals like attorneys and doctors, accountants, they work by the hour. They get paid either by the hour or by they may bid a job that they do. But with real estate professionals, we don't get a penny until the deal closes. So all of the running around to showings, all of the paperwork that we do, and all the coordinating we do with your home inspectors, your termite guys, and the appraisers and everything, we do that all in the hopes that we actually finally get to the closing table and everyone signs on the dotted line. Because if nothing happens, we do all of that just on our own dime. So commissions, people sometimes don't understand what commissions really are. So I just kind of wanted to give us a nice little overview of what it is. So in residential sales, now that's what I'm going to be talking about today, because I know that there are different commission structures with different brokerages. You're going to have different ways that they pay out their commissions. So I will say this though. In the world of real estate, your commission is not paid directly to you from the closing table. It's paid to your broker, to where your broker is going to then cut a check for you after they take their cut. Because every broker takes, some of them will promise you 100% commission, but they have some certain kinds of fees. They have to take something for the office to keep infrastructure there. There's an overhead to be maintained, and they take a piece of it so they can maintain that overhead. But the broker, in essence, needs to make some money too. While the principal broker, that is, the principal broker, while they may sell real estate as well, they do get a little slice of your commissions because they ultimately take responsibility for your actions. Their neck is on the line for how good you do. Now, they are going to go over it. Either them or an executive broker that they trust is going to go over it, your contracts, that is, and all your paperwork, and make sure that it checks out, because they want, the more eyes on it, the better. Make sure nothing falls through the cracks. We want it all to be right. But ultimately, the principal broker is responsible for you, and so that's why they're going to get a little bit of that cut. Now, with different agencies, it's going to be a different piece of the pie that they get if we want to go that route. But there's always a percentage set aside for commission out of the home sale. And now, typically, the seller pays the commission. When you go to a seller's presentation, and you are, or a listing presentation is actually what we call it. When you go to a listing presentation and you meet with somebody, they're interested in selling their home, they want to talk with you, and you have ran some numbers, ran some comparable properties, and tried to evaluate what the home could sell for, because you don't give them a value. We're not licensed to give them a value on their home. We just tell them what we think the market would support and what the market would bring for that home. So when we bring our CMA, our comparative market analysis, we have a value. Excuse me. See, you got to watch it. It's hard to stop. We have a number in mind that we think that it would bring, and the homeowner who's selling, they have a number in mind that they want to get. So trying to strike that perfect marriage is kind of a trick. It takes practice, and although I haven't done it a ton, I've only done a handful. I've been able to go with agents and watch them on their listing presentation and really just sit under them and them pour into me how they do it. And it's almost an art in a way, because this seller, say a seller has a house that would probably sell for $315. Let's say $315 as a general number, and they want to make sure that they put in their pocket that they don't know that. That's what the agent's thinking. The agent's thinking, hey, this house is going to bring $315. But before they ever talk to the seller's thinking, if I could only get $250,000 out of this house, I would be happy. So the agent's coming, and the agent thinks that they could get $315. But before they disclose everything, they talk about commission, because there is a price that needs to be paid for the services, the professional services, and well, I'll get into this in just a second. But there's a price to be paid for the professional services. So you take your 6%, which is the typical commission for a real estate transaction, 6%, which is split in half. Typically, these are all typically. Nothing is set in stone in this world. Nothing is hard and fast. Everything is it's really negotiable. There are certain ways that is typically done, but there are no hard and fast rules in where your commission is. Some people will list it at 10% commission. Some people will list it at 1.5% commission. Now, fair warning for those who think, well, I want to go to that person. They're not going to market your property at all. They're just going to save you the trouble of putting it in the MLS. You're going to get nothing for that. So you have to present your value proposition. Why am I worth 6%? And you'll begin to tell them, and if they agree with you, they can say, yeah, I'm gonna pay you 6%. And then where the art comes in is that you want to try to make sure they get the number they're looking for. If you say you can list their house for $315 and it's going to sell for that, and they were thinking, well, really, all I wanted was $250, then you can say, well, even after I'm paid, you'll get a little bit extra, right? So it's paid by the seller typically at the closing table, but it's paid to your brokerage. Then your brokerage pays you. Now, if you have both, you get 3%, less than 3%, because you got your brokerage fees if you only have one side of the transaction. In Arkansas, it is legal to represent both sides of the transaction. Other states, it's not. I'm not sure which other states, but I know that some states allow it, some states don't. We are a dual agency state, so we can represent both sides of the transaction. In that case, we get all 6% of the commission less whatever your brokerage charges you, whatever your split is with them, whatever desk fees you may have, they're going to take that out there as well. And it also depends if you got that business on referral or not. So commission is something that people on both sides get hung up on, real estate agents and clients, because they think, well, I don't want to just be beholden to pay you this. Well, it's depends on if you're on the buying or the selling side. If you're on the selling side and you have a good agent, they're going to explain to you that whole process as well. So talking about commissions, and you thinking, well, what does an agent really do anyways? Their value proposition doesn't seem like it benefits me at all. What if I just decide to sell my home myself? If you can, awesome. That's great. A lot of people don't. A lot of people can't. But for those of you who can, that's great. If you want to take a shot at it, be my guest. That's awesome. But here's just, I found this really interesting. National Association of Realtors did a 2020, it was a profile of home buyers and sellers, and it reports that in 2019, for sale by owner homes, or FSBOs, sold for a median price of $217,900 nationwide, while the median home price of agent-assisted homes sold for $242,300. So while you would be keeping, this is based on national averages here, while you would be keeping that 3% commission, you would actually be losing out on a potential of 10% increased profits, which would be 7% if you pay the commission, right? Well, not exactly. The math doesn't check out just like that. But you know what? You understand what I mean. Your earning potential would be more because, and why is that? Because if you're a for sale by owner and all you're doing is sticking a sign in the yard and putting it on Facebook, and that's the only market exposure that you get, then you're going to have to settle for what that area is going to give you. And yeah, maybe you'll put it on Zillow, but that's not the kind of exposure that you need. See, so one thing that kind of blew my mind when I entered the real estate world was, yes, Zillow has done a lot for the average consumer. There is still something to be said about the network that good agents have. I am able to talk to people, and I've seen so many times where things have sold before it ever was able to come to market, because this agent knew that this agent had a client that wanted exactly what this one had, and this client was willing to pay top dollar for what this person was selling. So those two agents got together and said, hey, let's work up a deal, and I'll bring my people to the table, you bring your people to the table, we'll wrap this up quick. Never once touched the MLS. Never once made it to Zillow. Never once made it to Facebook. No sign in the yard. But they were able to get it together because they had the network. So that's one benefit of going with an agent, that just posting online and hoping that you get some kind of traffic out there. Maybe you even pay for ads, or maybe you even pay for a space to set up on a highly trafficked website, or to boost posts. Facebook offers that boost post option if you have one of those business pages. Maybe you even pay those dollars, but all you're doing is you're paying in hopes that someone gets it, and you put the money forward yourself. Whereas if you go with an agent, the network is there, the exposure is there, and the resources are all there. They're able to get with the title company. They're able to contact the termite people. They're able to really kind of be conductors in the whole scenario. And you don't pay anything until the deal closes. And in fact, you never see that, because you're wanting a certain amount of dollars in your head. You just want, what you're thinking you can get in your pocket after the mortgage is paid off. You have a dollar amount fixed in your head. You have a better chance of hitting that dollar amount and even exceeding it if you go with an agent. Now, you may be thinking, well, you're biased because you are an agent. Sure, I tried to sell. I bought a home that was a for sale by owner, and I know I said it on another video. Only reason I did that was because I knew the guy personally, had a great respect for the guy. He had been a real estate investor for a long time, so I felt comfortable doing that. But typically, but before I even thought about entering the real estate world, I would always use an agent, because I don't have time to try to learn everything myself when my time and my efforts can be put forth to other things that are gonna better me, make me more money down the road. So just something to think about. Commissions, they should not make or break your deal. They should not make or break your experience with an agent. A good agent is going to do a great job for you, and they're going to get you top dollar for your house. Robert Kiyosaki said in his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but he talked about, so I'm not going to try to quote it. I'm going to just give you the gist of it. Why would we pay 20% of a tip for food where the food isn't spectacular, the service was not great, and the venue where you ate it wasn't pristine, but it's a standard practice, right? You pay 20%. I know, and maybe that doesn't ring true today, but you know, in my parents' generation, even into my generation, a lot of people still tip. Why would you willingly pay 20%, which over the lifetime of over a year it could be several $1,000s, depending on how much you eat out these places, but you're reluctant to give 3% to a professional with holding the cards to the biggest purchase of your life? Doesn't make sense. Something to chew on, something to think about. I hope I've explained it. If you have any more questions about commissions, I can't answer your questions about commission splits and the specifics of it, because that's between you and your principal broker. It's a case-by-case basis. They may have some standards. But anyways, if you have any more questions on how the process works, please feel free to reach out to me. All of my social media handles are going to be included in the description. Look me up on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I would love to be in contact with you. Send me a message. My phone number is out there. Leave me a message on YouTube. Leave me a comment. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, like the video on YouTube if you're watching there. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. In the meantime, I hope you all live life one cup at a time.